Wasn't there a whole thing that he's like sleeping with other men?
Oh, Will's gay? Pro-LGBTQ and everyone's beautiful. And then everyone's coming out like, yeah, working for her is the worst.
Do I think Britney was okay? No.
She's nuts. She's nuts.
What do you think? Welcome back, everybody.
Dynamite intro, Mrs. Lush. Honey, this is something you might be interested in because I know you do your scrollies and you're like, look at all this stupid that doesn't matter.
Don't we all?
We're talking about, guilty. We're talking about some controversial celebrities. I don't even know what the team has gathered, but let's take a look.
Jada Pinkett Smith, one of the most unlikable women in Hollywood, just revealed that her and her husband Will Smith have been separated for the past 7 years. And considering they've been lying to the public by stating to be together for the past 23 years, people online were shocked to say the least.
So from the year 2016,
This whole
which is 7 years
thing
ago
has been
now,
interesting.
y'all have been apart. Yeah.
As a result, many were saying that it makes absolutely no sense.
Bro, I forgot about this whole Oscar slap.
You
dude.
forgot?
I mean, like, I obviously didn't forget, but like, this whole story arc has been insane.
That Will
There's definitely a
Smith
lot we
would have
don't know.
slapped Chris
Of
Rock
course.
at the Oscars in 2022 if they weren't even together, commenting things like "so the slap was for nothing," and others pointing out that Will threw away his entire reputation for a woman he's not even committed to. Not to mention Jada herself claims that she thought the slap was a skit and said, quote, "There's no way I thought Will would hit him." However, some claim that they saw this coming as Jada cheated on Will a few years ago with her son's best friend, and as a result led to one of the most infamous memes on the internet.
I got into a different kind of entanglement.
That's right, the entanglement. That was what they called it.
That's the word?
Entanglement. I became privy to this whole thing around whatever this was called, like the red table.
Yeah.
Which is something Jada put on.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah,
say.
it's her thing.
And it was like, hey, let me bring my family on and talk about all of the malfeasances that have happened in our marriage and as if it's some sort of like self-therapy to expose it to the whole world, and it just made her look like a savage.
An entanglement,
Yes. Yes.
a relationship.
Yes.
I don't know the details, but it feels to me from the outside looking in that Will has just been like a an abused dog, basically. And she's kind of like this type A, just, I don't know, man-eater.
What I don't understand, and maybe they've put this out there or not, why don't they just get divorced?
When you have amassed a fortune at their level as well, like who knows, that's... We've seen it a million times. I mean, Jeff Bezos got divorced and gave Mackenzie $80 billion or something. So it's like, and I'm not saying Will is faultless. Certainly, maybe he gallivanted a bit and did this thing, but I grew up with the dude, loved him. I think she tries to come off as emotionally deep, like, oh, we're so deep because we can talk about this on camera, but like at the same time, she seems emotionally underdeveloped.
Wasn't there a whole thing that he's like sleeping with other men?
Oh, Will's gay?
Wait, wasn't that a thing, or is that someone else?
Could have been a rumor. Nothing's off the table.
Is that someone else?
I have no idea. No, that was...
No, that was him.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. You talking about the new Puff Daddy that's come out?
Jeez Louise. No.
With like some of
No.
these rappers
No,
that apparently
definitely
have
not
been...
P. Diddy,
been-
no.
Have you heard any of the P. Diddy that dropped recently?
Only what you told me.
Oh my God, dude, the rabbit hole is insane. We're talking
Here is the
Lizzo.
Lizzo controversy explained. Even Miss Beyonce is involved in this somehow. It's King Asante, and let's talk about it. So Lizzo is currently being sued by former dancers. And here are some of the specific claims made against Lizzo. One of them is overworking her dancers. She's also being accused of commenting on dancers' weight gain. And her dance captain is also getting accused of some things as well, like trying to convert
remember
her
when this
dancers
came
to
out.
her religion, scolding dancers for having premarital, talking about
What?
different types of topics that might not be appropriate. I'm being very careful with what I say so this video doesn't get taken down. Hence, Captain replied to these statements by saying, just want to get on here quick and say God is so good. Stuff involving bananas happened too, but I'm not going to talk about it because it's really inappropriate. A filmmaker came forward saying that she dropped out of Lizzo's 2019 documentary. She said that she witnessed how
What was it? A documentary? No, it was...
again, self-centered and unkind she is,
Wow.
adding that Lizzo created an extremely toxic and hostile working environment. It's gotten so bad that Beyonce skipped Lizzo's name during her performance of Break My Soul. She usually would name out black female icons. If Beyonce not saying your name, you know it's bad.
Lizzo's another one where she's been like at the center of whatever, the last half a decade, being kind of the face of the body positivity movement. And there's the other side that hates on her just because of her weight, which obviously I don't agree. There's that whole push and pull, but then she's also kind of puts on this persona of like, oh, like happy, life is great, like just love people. And oftentimes I feel like when people portray themselves like that, you then, like you're going to be held to a higher standard, obviously, if that's the kind of persona you're putting on. And then occasionally it's like all of a sudden all these people come out and they're like, oh, she's kind of a See you next Tuesday behind closed doors.
It just feels contradictory because she talks about body
Miss
positivity, but the
Positivity.
whole thing was that she
And then, like, shitting on her
body
dancers for
positivity.
gaining weight. Yeah.
I mean, she calls them the big girls. Like, that's
Yeah.
what they're called. And so, I don't know.
The flip side of this, which I can totally see, is there are a lot of filthy, conniving, money-hungry scumbags in the entertainment industry, and I could absolutely see isolated cases of people coming out trying to get a payday. Maybe she's got a little brash personality, but she's not genuinely being mean or vindictive, and it's like this person's like, oh, I can just cause this big stir and get a little payday, make some money. That's 100% plausible as well. It becomes a little less likely in any circumstance, right? It becomes a little more damning when it's like multiple people from different circles come out and say the same thing, which it seemed like that was a little bit. But if it's like an isolated person, I always have to raise an eyebrow, like,
I was skied directly into by Mr. Sanderson. I was skiing and two skis came between my skis, forcing my legs apart, and then there was a body pressing against me. And there was a very strange grunting noise. So my brain was trying to make sense of what was happening.
I have no context for what this is.
Oh, really?
I've never heard of this at all.
Oh, okay. Keep watching.
I thought, is this a practical joke? Is someone like doing something perverted? This is really, really strange. My mind was going very, very quickly and I was trying to ascertain what was happening. I said, you skied directly into my back. And he said, oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Right. And that was you screaming at him while he's on the ground still.
She got into an accident on a ski mountain in 2016, and the dude that screamed into her and ran into her back ended up suing her. Just because this person that you got in some sort of altercation with, whether it's a car or whatever, you know they're famous and rich, like now you're gonna sue just to try to abstract value out of them over nothing when they did nothing wrong. Like, I f***ing can't stand people like that. Sue happy f***ing losers. Even if there was mildly both parties at fault, like there should be no suing people for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Is it true that you feel it's unfair that Mr. Sanderson has brought this case against you?
I do.
And he has deterred you from enjoying the rest of what was a very expensive vacation?
Well, I lost half a day of skiing.
Ms. Paltrow, isn't it true that you've misrepresented a number of things today to this jury?
Absolutely not.
I lost half a day skiing. I will caveat all of these things I've just said because I get heated about people that sue people for really shitty reasons. Gwyneth Paltrow's a little bit of a weirdo.
Yeah.
A lot of bit of a weirdo. I'm not defending her and whatever as much as just this idea that you nick somebody on a ski mountain and then find out that they're a famous actor.
But he ran into her.
Yeah, right, exactly. You're the one at fault, but the other person's famous and rich, so yeah, let's sue him. Ellen DeGeneres.
Thank you so much for being on this
I think
journey
you
with
didn't
me.
want to.
No.
I feel the love, and I send it back to you. Bye.
This comic was once an icon of pop culture, paving the way for LGBT representation in television.
Dude, she really did fall off since this happened. Like, she disappeared from the
Well,
limelight.
her show's over.
Yeah, but just in general, like, she used to be on everything, everywhere.
Yeah.
I think she just took
hosting everything and
probably just took her hundreds of millions and slinked off into the sunset. You know what I mean, like
Portia de Rossi.
Yeah, exactly.
It's September 8th. This is our very, very first show, and you are my very first audience.
Her accomplishments cannot be forgotten, but DeGeneres herself was called out in 2020. It was alleged
pandemic
that
time.
the production of The Ellen DeGeneres Show was full of problems, including racism, harassment, and wanton terminations. DeGeneres revealed to The Hollywood Reporter that she will be taking a year-long hiatus to sit still.
And she never returned.
There's a lot more to the story than that.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was mostly like hostile work environment claim.
I like to play devil's advocate for both sides here because, listen, if you're working in a high-stress situation, you're producing shows every single day, you're entertaining millions of people, it's not going to be happy-go-lucky, fun-time Google offices. You get to play foosball every 15 minutes. It's going to be stressful. There's going to be people freaking out. You're going to get yelled at. If you're there to make money, like, and work hard, like, just shut the fuck up. Are not okay, and they cross the line, and nobody knows maybe exactly what happened. But the flip side of that is, same thing with the Lizzo shit, where she's like the face of positivity and like pro-LGBTQ and everyone's beautiful and love everyone equally. And then everyone's coming out like, yeah, working for her is the worst. She treats everyone like shit. She's screaming all the time. So it's like, you can't portray this type of demeanor because, again, you're going to be held to a higher standard if it starts to come out that that's all fake bullshit. not surprising because I feel like a lot of Hollywood is just portraying fake bullshit.
I mean, yeah.
And the second thing is you're going to get
actors for a reason.
It's true. That's the sad part is like the talk shows are supposed to be like the authentic version of you. It's just another one of the reasons, kind of like the divide you see, and I think why online kind of independent media is done so well and is continuing to displace legacy media because it just becomes more and more apparent how little true authenticity exists in anything that comes out of like some big production studio like Hollywood. There's so many options now as a viewer. You can pick and choose. You don't have to turn on the TV. There's a million people online that can be cool. And not to say these problems don't exist online. People create personas and put on a front online, but there's a lot more options of finding cooler people. I just didn't let you talk at all. I just wanted to Ellen tangent. How do you feel about Ellen DeGeneres, hon?
I don't know. Indifferent.
Indifferent, good.
Hi, I'm Petty Pop Culture. This is the biggest scandal of their career, where every day I pick a new celebrity and discuss the biggest scandal they've ever been through.
Jesus, okay, Patty.
With Britney Spears.
Before we get into the Britney Spears little
there's a lot
jargon here, I realize how hypocritical it is almost to say this based on us making this video, but it's so wild to me that there's just such a huge subsection of culture that is so obsessed with celebrities and pop culture. You know, I find it interesting to digest it in maybe this sense, but I can't imagine dedicating all of my content to it. I couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, these are just like quick little blips that we're watching about these people. The whole Britney thing could go on for days.
Her biggest scandal was her year-long breakdown in 2007.
Oh, the bald
head. In late 2006, she filed for divorce from her husband and father of 2 kids, Kevin Federline. New sloppy behavior like partying with Paris and Lindsay and suspected drug use.
He's going way back.
On February 16, 2007, Britney walked into her hair salon
the...
and shaved her head in front of 70 paparazzis and then got an impromptu tattoo. The incident happened the day after she checked herself into rehab for the first time because her partying and drug use was escalating. Days later, paparazzi kept harassing her when she was going to Kevin's house, so she attacked them with an umbrella. Days later, Britney checked into an alcohol and drug treatment facility, and she completed the month-long program. However, in August 2007, she was charged with 2 accounts of a hit and run. In September 2007, she performed at the VMA seemingly under the influence and not okay. In October, she was accused of being an abusive parent and ordered to hand over her children to Kevin. In early 2008, she was put on a 5150 psychiatric hold after being intoxicated around her children and refusing to give them up. This caused her decade-long conservatorship.
That was, yeah, he really just wrapped it up. Like, so he talked about like one specific year, which was like her breakdown year, which is very famous and documented. But it apparently, is that what started the conservatorship that has been the more recent controversy, is kind of the end of that?
Yeah, so the whole thing is that it was supposed to be a temporary conservatorship, but it lasted that long.
And her family, whoever was in charge, like her dad didn't want to give it up.
Why would he?
Well, yeah,
he got to control her and her
but if you genuinely don't think she's capable of doing it herself,
you don't think that, and there's not being capable of taking care of yourself. Like, her dad's opinion was maybe that she couldn't take care of herself, but he also had a particular interest in making sure that that was documented in that way or whatever.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some real snaky that went on.
Do I think Britney was okay? No.
Even now,
do you think it caused? Oh no, she's nuts. No,
she's nuts. She's nuts.
But do you think enough to be a decade-long conservatorship?
No, I have no idea. Probably not. But didn't she win recently? Isn't that done?
Free.
She's free now. And all I see from her is random like dancing TikTok videos where she looks like an absolute Looney Tune, like with a knife and like doing all really weird. This is what happens with child stars. Their brain never gets to fully develop. They become super rich and famous, and then they get chewed up and used and abused by this industry that siphons every ounce of value out of them for the entirety of their lives until they're done with them and kick them to the curb. Jack Black bringing back Baby One More Time recently with Kung Fu Panda 5.
Right.
I don't know why that went so viral. There was like a week where all I saw was Jack Black singing "Hit Me One More, Baby One More Time."
The first time I heard it was at the end of the movie.
Hit me one more time. But I feel like it was purposely done as marketing for Kung Fu Panda 4, I feel like. Anyways, Jack Black's cool. I like him.
5 years ago, federal prosecutors in Boston rocked the academic and entertainment world by unveiling charges against 50 people in a nationwide college admissions cheating scheme dubbed Operation Varsity Blues. Wealthy parents, including Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman, were caught red-handed, paying to get their kids accepted at elite schools through less than honest means.
I want to pause that there just to say that nobody should be surprised by this at all. Elite schools are cool, but like this is how it operates. This goes beyond just famous actress kids. It's people with money.
People with money, yeah.
Get their kids into schools by lobbying, by paying. It might not be a direct check to the president. It might be $5 million to build a new science lab. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like this is how the world operates. Like obviously there's kids that are way more qualified not getting into these schools.
That's exactly the problem.
Because of this.
When this all came out, it was really embarrassing for everyone involved. However, the 2 highest profile cases could not have been handled more.
Did she go to jail?
Felicity Huffman pleaded guilty
Lori
right
Loughlin,
away.
is she in jail right
Spent
now?
14 days in jail, paid a fine, and did some community service. Her husband, William H. Macy, didn't really face much backlash at all. Lori Loughlin and her husband, Massimo Giannulli, on the other hand, initially pleaded not guilty. And there was a bit more outrage from both the public and their daughter, Olivia Jade.
That's right.
Eventually, they accepted plea deals and spent 2 months and 5 months in prison, respectively. The man behind the curtain, Rick Singer, ended up cooperating with authorities, but didn't avoid punishment. He was hit with a $19 million fine and 3.5 years in jail.
Damn.
And now, 5 years later, the story is not over. There are still ongoing investigations and trials, and the entire college admissions apparatus has been forced to take an educated look at it.
Yeah, the whole thing's corrupt. It always has been.
Of course. I feel like a lot of it were like them paying to put their kid on a sports team for like a sports admission, but that kid never even played that sport or whatever.
I'm sure there were a million loopholes to make it look okay on paper. When in the back, it was literally Rick Singer was just the liaison between like college faculty and staff and these rich parents that wanted.
He was running quite the scheme.
Yeah, he's just taking a little money off the top and then giving it to. Well, if you got fined $19 million and probably still have something to spare, pretty lucrative scheme you had there, Rick.
How do you expect the kids to turn out though?
Terrible. Of course,
right?
that's
After you do that,
that's the saddest part.
What are they supposed to do then?
When you're paving your kids' way for them and paying for everything to give them special treatment, they're going to turn out into rotten, spoiled, unself-aware rat f***s.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
Danny Masterson was on the list. Essentially, he got charged with sexual assault, right?
I can't remember exactly what it was.
For some pretty serious...
Being a perv?
No, some pretty serious SA charges, I think, got convicted.
Okay.
And then the way that these two handle it became a controversy too.
We support victims.
Oh,
we have
because
done
they
this
vouched for Danny's
through our
character
work
during
and
the
will
case.
continue to do so in the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that. And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual abuse or
So he did get convicted, and I don't know the details of the case, but then apparently Ashton and Mila were asked by his family to write character letters, which they did for the case. And then once he ended up getting convicted, they got blowback because it's like, oh, you're endorsing or helping this guy who's being charged for these awful things. My view on that is that, like, when you have a relationship with someone 25 years, like, there's a solid chance that they didn't know that he had done these things, right? There are many charismatic people who do terrible things that have relationships with people that are healthy on the surface. So maybe their acting relationship was great and they just wrote to that effect. Maybe in disbelief that he could have done these things. I don't know.
Wouldn't you be like, yeah, I'm going to stay out of this?
That's what I would have been like, you know what? I'm going to let the court figure this one out. But I don't know, maybe I don't know how well they knew his family. But at the end of the day, like, what you can't fault, like, I don't know. Like, they just wrote a letter based on their experience with him for them to use in court. I don't think you can really get too upset at them for that.
Please, people did.
Oh, I know they did, because people want to get bullshit at everything and everyone at all times, especially if they're famous. Oh, the old Dr. Seuss controversy. I forget what this was even about.
Don't know that Dr. Seuss was a terrible person. His wife of 40 years got diagnosed with cancer, and he was cheating on her behind her back with one of her friends. And she was dying and aware of this betrayal for years, and she ended up unaliving herself because of her grief. I'll go ahead and read an excerpt of the note she left behind, but it is so heartbreaking, so trigger warning. And also keep in mind that
Trigger warning, hon.
I'll be okay.
Yeah, you gonna be okay?
I will.
I will interject here to say there is a bit of an obsession in the digital age to take historically loved people and try to find reasons to despise and hate them. That's just how it is. I'm not saying Dr. Seuss was a good guy by any means, but it is interesting to always see every day. It's like this new thing of like, well, this person was bad. Yeah, this person was bad because, well, all the it's just.
Seuss went on to marry the mistress only a year after her death. So she wrote in her note, Dear Ted,
That's
what
not
has happened to
that
us?
uncommon.
I don't know. I feel myself in a spiral, going down, down, down into a black hole from which there is no escape, no brightness. And loud in my ears from every side I hear failure, failure, failure. I love you so much. I am too old and enmeshed in everything you do and are that I cannot conceive of life without you. My going will leave quite a rumor, but you can say I was overworked and overwrought. Your reputation with your friends and fans will not be harmed. Sometimes think of the fun we had all through the years. I just find it so sad that even after all the suffering he put her through,
she acts like she knew them personally and knows exactly the situation they went through.
Yeah.
From reading a excerpt of a poem from like something that she wrote, like, and she's making all these assessments and accusations based on that's like the disease of doing this. You have no clue what it was like while you were there. I get a little like, I just can't. People just think they know everything the second they read one article about something.
And he didn't even value or care about her because he went on to marry the mistress a year later.
It doesn't mean that he never loved or valued his wife. Like, I've known people that were good people that had relationships, long-term marriages where the spouse, the wife, got cancer, and there is a part of that where, like, when you have to come to face with the fact that this person you spent your life with is going to die, like when it's a terminal diagnosis, you have to start coming to terms with that. There's a part of the grieving process that happens in the entirety, the entire process leading up to them physically leaving. What are you supposed to, how long do you have to wait, 10 years? Like, are you not allowed to go on and find love and try to find another partner after you've already had years knowing that your wife,
But he started with this partner before. She was
100%. But this idea of using this like arbitrary number of like only 1 year after she died,
She's just harping
that's
on
not a
that,
reason. Yeah, that's not a reason for someone to be. If he was like banging around other girls while she was sick, that's a different story.
I feel like this is a good example for us as women to reflect on how we have been taught
now I'm gonna puke.
to prioritize the needs and wants of men over our own well-being.
The pulpit is
This
just
is so ingrained in our culture,
Oh,
and we
me.
are conditioned to center men in our lives.
Does that make you want to throw up?
It does. Actually.
Good.
It does.
Good. Shut the up.
This just shows us that
just-
we
all right,
need
shut-
to raise consciousness.
That's a really depressing way to end
Gen
this
Z
video,
pulpit.
but
All right. This just
the rest
you
were
didn't.
fun.
Yeah, you didn't. I just wanted to hear about Dr. Seuss banging as well as wife and kids. I don't need to hear about
I
this.
thought it was gonna be something totally different.
I've heard other stuff about Dr. Seuss. He probably was a piece of shit. Who knows? Wrote cool kids books. Don't take that away from him, okay? Do not take that away from him. That little lesson at the end there, though.
Didn't need that.
Fade me with that. That's very like Gen Z though.
Oh,
everything,
yeah.
everything needs to be a lesson about like internalizing, learning about how culture and society, and we live in a society. Anyways, good times, guys. Thanks for joining us. That was to tickle my wife's mini little hobby of enjoying celebrity drama. And I would be remiss if I pretended like I didn't low-key enjoy it a little bit.
Thanks for admitting it.
Yeah. If you disagree with anything we said, make sure you let us know in the comments. I always love to hear people yell at me in YouTube comments because I said one thing that they didn't like about a celebrity they love. That's always
Team
fun.
Brittany, that's all I'm gonna
And
say.
we can't wait to see you in the next video. Peace.